We heard from Nebraska head coach Matt Rhule here on Monday as the Huskers get ready for Rutgers. It's another game here in Lincoln. Before I get to the report, this report is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is your premier place to download tickets. Download the Game Time app in your phone. Get tickets for this Saturday's game against Rutgers, your favorite NFL game, your favorite concert. Any game you want to get tickets to, Game Time in the app has you covered. And we're going to give you a special here with On3. Use the promo code ON3, and we're going to give you $20 off your ticket order in the Game Time app. All right, back to Matt Rhule here as we talk to him about Saturday's game. A lot of respect for Greg Schiano, who Rhule actually played for when he was a player at Penn State.
I respect. There's lots of coaches that are regarded as like the best coaches in college football. Not many could do what he's done. Okay. Speaking as a guy who won at Temple, and I mean, you go win at Rutgers. Before he got there, not many people had won there, and he won there at a high level, left and came back, and he's winning there again now at a high level. He's a great football coach. Point blank. He's just a great football coach. Great builder. He's elevated that entire university. I have the utmost respect for him. When he speaks, I listen. I just have a lot of respect for him.
We also got an update on some players that weren't available for Saturday, including offensive lineman Micah Mazuka, corner Tommy Hill, and linebacker Stephon Thompson.
Yeah, Micah was suspended last game. He's reinstituted this week. That was kind of middle of the week that happened, so it wasn't something we were. I met with you guys. I wasn't anticipating that, to be quite honest with you. Stephon Thompson has a sprained foot, and he ran well today, so we're anticipating him practicing tomorrow. So I'll know more about that. And then Tommy went out like the NFL, like 2 hours before the game and worked out, and just didn't quite feel like he could go on it. Now he ran today and felt good, so I would anticipate Tommy having a chance to play this week. I think that'll be another probably, to be quite honest, game time decision. It's all the plantar fascia is all pain threshold, and it's not like can you tough it out. I mean, I've seen guys miss a long time with it, so he's doing everything he can to play, so we'll see.
And Rhule did make it clear on Mazuka that he will be available this week, but he's not a starter right now.
I wouldn't start him. I mean, he was a backup before this happened, right? Like when he came out of the Colorado game, he was Toski was put ahead of him, so he's got. I love Micah. I'm working with him to make him the best he can be. You guys talk a lot about him, but he's a backup player for us.
Another player we saw back on the field for the Huskers was linebacker Javin Wright, who's been out, Rhule said, battling his blood clots, and it was his first action of the season.
Yeah, Javin went in kind of in like a nickel and dime role. It was, when this first happened, we never thought he'd be able to play at this point. Dr. Mathiasen, our team doctor, and the work he's done with the specialists. I mean, I honestly, we were hoping maybe for USC, the hard part about my job is I only get called in when it's the heartbreaking conversations. I'm not the position coach. I'm not there for the the day-to-day good ones. I'm not always the fun guy, but I was there for that one with Javin and his father, and just like I was with Ramir last year when his season was over, and those things are heartbreaking. And so to see the joy on Javin's face to play was that was a moment that will stay with me for a while. And so, how did he play? Honestly, I'm not even sure that it necessarily even matters. To be quite honest, but he thought he played well. He'll play more this week. He hasn't practiced, hasn't been able to do a thing. It wasn't like, hey, he's coming back from an ankle. He's dealing with, blood clots and all that stuff. So he's, hasn't done a thing really. And but he went out there, and luckily, as he said to me, I'm a ninth year senior, whatever he is. So he's got a lot of reps in the bank.
Unfortunately, refereeing was another big topic this past week with how things played out in West Lafayette. The Boilermakers had 165 yards of penalties. Nebraska was just under 100. There were definitely some calls that Matt Rhule and the Huskers turned into the Big Ten Conference.
You send in, hey, is this a question? Is that a question? Questions you have, they'll send you back whether they agree or disagree. There's like a weekly tape that they send you that has points of emphasis from the week before. So, like, I'm saying from the whole league, so you can kind of hear what's being said to the officials. And then if it's something that rises to a higher level, right, maybe you get on the phone with somebody and say, hey, so like for me, because I got a penalty, because I injected myself into the game, I made a call to figure out, what I did right or wrong. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, hey, you send your plays in, you get them back, they tell you what they agree or disagree with, and you're trying to figure out, as much as anything, as the rules change, okay, can we do this? Can we not do this? Can we hit what used to be a great play is now a penalty sometimes, right? So can we do this? Can we not do that?
We saw Nebraska's defense force another key turnover as well from John Bullock. The Huskers are +5 on turnover margin on the season.
I thought we would, if we could just not turn the ball over, we'll have a chance. Games will be close. We'll have a chance to win the game at the end. I didn't probably prepare for us being as explosive as we are in terms of, like, we're really, even in the first half, I showed our guys, it was, and forgive me for the numbers might be off, 32 plays for like 210 yards in the first half, 27 plays for 208 yards in the second half. So it really wasn't like we weren't explosive. So what you're seeing, I think, is you're seeing other people now slow the game down, run the ball, try to bleed our defense, try to keep us off the field. And so what you could see is like a young quarterback going out there being like, hey, I'm going to be extra aggressive because I'm only getting, we played 57 plays on offense. I'm not getting a lot of plays. But what I like about Dylan is he's checking the ball down. He's getting completions. He's moving the ball. And, but yeah, I think the turnover margin, I think we've won it in every game except one we tied it, right? And even the game we lost, we won the turnover margin. So I'd still love to see us get way more. Like, we have a couple sacks. Like, we have 5 sacks with no sack fumbles. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. So those are the things. And I say that because our guys in the meeting, they were like, Ty Robinson barrels through, sacks the quarterback, and he's the first guy to say, I need to knock the ball out there. So there's a lot of places we have to improve.
And as for John Bullock, he continues to grow. This is just his second season playing linebacker.
I think I like the fact that, like, he's a 5th or 6th year player, whatever he is, and he just keeps getting better. Like we showed, that was Tampa 2. He's the will linebacker in Tampa 2 that he picked off versus 3-by-1. And it's like they ran that same play twice before, and it's like he almost went to go get it. It's just like, and then finally just went and got it. And, while he's kind of go back to the earlier question, while he's a 5th-year player, he's really played linebacker for about, 14 games. And last year we had Luke and Nick out there a bunch. He rotated a bunch. So, he's still a young player in terms of his development as a linebacker, but he gets better and better and better, right? He's always working on something. He's working on getting off blocks or striking or his blitz patterns or playing man. And so if all of our team was like John in terms of the constant search for improvement, deliberate practice, you'd have a hard time losing because he's always trying to get better. And now he gets, hopefully he gets Stephon Thompson back this week. You get Javin Wright back now in the mix playing for us again. Vincent Shavers is really stepping up, and a guy like John doesn't maybe have to play as many snaps, so his snaps he can make impact plays like he did. He's really affected the ball, Steve. Like you talk about how many times now he's got his hand on the ball. 3 against Colorado, I think, maybe 1 against UNI. Last week he takes the ball away, rips the ball out. This week he picks the ball off. So we're talking about turnover margin, and we're saying, the defense is taking the ball. Really, he's taking the ball away, right? Even the play Tommy picked off. I talked. They went to throw ball number 2. He rolled in the window, so Shedeur had to go outside to number 1. And he picked that ball off. So John's just done a lot of nuanced things.
His brother Alex Bullock, a veteran wide receiver, also was big on Saturday, laying some critical blocks down the field.
So Alex was one of the guys we talked about in the team meeting. We ran that play earlier in the game, and so they run with motion. So if you send a guy in jet motion, they chase him. And so last week, Oregon State had a ton of success handing the ball off. And really, people, for 2 years, that's kind of one of the things you try to do against Purdue's hand-off jet sweeps, right? Well, they made the decision, and we actually practiced it in case they did it. They made the decision to, instead of running with it, to rock and roll the safeties, which is a little more complex, but it's better in terms of speed sweeps. So the first one, Alex is going to go block the man-to-man guy. The man-to-man guy doesn't come. He sees a safety, he tries to veer off. He goes and blocks him. He misses it. It's a 4-yard gain. Now they get a 15-yard penalty for throwing his legs or whatever. So I yelled at Alex on the sideline. He was about ready to fight me. They ran it again. Alex sees it and makes the block. Corey runs for a touchdown. You see Alex turns around. He does this passionate, I don't know if he was telling me to get lost or if he was just fired up. But it's those kinds of things that we really are trying to build off of, like, preparing through the event, seeing how people are playing you. What do we need to do differently this game based upon what they're doing? Like, again, we're in warm-ups, and number 4 goes from playing middle linebacker now to playing an edge player. Oh, shoot. Okay, how are we going to handle this? Now 31's now no longer the deep safety. Now he's down low. 32's a deep safety. So that's one of the hard things about playing a team that's struggling. They've lost their last 2 games because they're probably going to make some fundamental changes. Alex is just becoming more and more and more the guy that, like, the coaches or Dylan will say, hey, can I have Alex on this play? Because, he's a guy who finds a way to get a job done, and he was excellent on special teams. He was fantastic on special teams.
Rural praise punter Brian Buscini as well. Said that Buscini came through with a lot of key plays.
It was a heck of a day for Brian Buscini. I mean, 5 touchbacks. In kind of hurricane-ish type conditions. I wasn't sure if he'd get the touchback. I think 4 or 5 touchbacks, right? An amazing tackle that lit the team up. 2 tackles on. He was able to field both those snaps, which were really bad snaps, get them down, then made both tackles on those plays. Pooch, the first one, should have been down at the 2, right? So he made an excellent pooch and then put one at the 10, one at the 4. So Buscini, I thought, was magnificent.
A big question, though, for Nebraska remains the long snapping. Rutgers comes into this game with 71 block kicks under Greg Schiano in his 15 years coaching the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. Last week wasn't the field goal protection team. It was the snapper. I mean, like, if you're kicking a ball at like 1-5, operation time, I mean, to me it's the snapper. If we practice so much on special teams, on field goal, on punt, all those things. So if we have to start changing stuff now you have to. If there's a problem, you fix. But if we have to start changing things now, then we're panicked. I mean, we know what to do, and I mean this sincerely. Like, we know what to do, and we have the guys who can do it. They got to go do it. Like that's the phase that we're in. Like, if you guys have heard me talk about, like, winning football to championship football, like, you can't be a different guy in practice than you are in the games, and. Like, we're making those kicks in practice every day, and so I expect us to make them in the games, and we're making that snap in practice. So, I expect us to make them in the games. So, they're going to come after us. They should come after us, right? But one thing we are doing, like, we went after the first punt, and if you go back to the last couple of games, the punters are getting the ball off against us in like 1.1, 1.2, and the balls are going 35, 40 yards or going out of bounds. Like, our punt rush team hasn't made the big play that everyone goes wow with, but the field is being tilted in our favor. Like, we're getting the ball at the 40-yard line, they're getting the ball at the 5. We're getting the ball at the 40. If anything, I'm coachable. I watch Coach Ferentz. I watch these guys, and I'm like, okay, how are they winning in these elements? And the elements haven't really showed up yet, but when they do, like, the wind was there on Saturday. But yeah, they're going to come after us. We're going we got good players. They have to play well, and that's really been my message to the team. Is like, you can't all of a sudden now change who you are. You got to be who you are. If you're fast, be fast. If you're tough, be tough. And do it against a really good Rutgers team.
Running back Emmett Johnson had a big game on Saturday. The question now for Rule is, will Johnson's role increase?
I think I said last week, hey, we'd like to get him more involved, and maybe a little bit earlier we should have. I still think there's like a rhythm to it in terms of tackling Dante is really hard. Like, on the first touchdown drive, there's like a 2nd and 1 or 2nd and 2 where Dante bounces the ball outside, and there's 2 defenders there, and he sets his pads and he runs right through one of them. If we ask Ramir and Emmett to do all those things early in the game, then they're not going to be, to me, explosive late in the game. So I think having the big backs, you have to just understand that they're setting the tone for the run game. But what I loved about what Emmett did was Emmett caught the ball out of the backfield. He picked up blitzes, and then the first guy never tackled him. And we have our little keys to victory every week. And one of the things for this week was get the ball in the perimeter and be untackleable, right? Like, don't let them tackle you. And even like an outside zone that he cuts back, he gets 9 yards because the first guy's never really tackling Emmett. And, it's like I said to Gabe Irvin. I'm watching Gabe in practice last week. Gabe came off a major injury. He's getting his swagger back. So I think we have 4. Ives is over. I mean, Ives can go in and play. So, but yeah, I like what Emmett did. And so Emmett deserves to keep playing. I mean, he was one of the guys we singled out out there just because he just did so many good things, and not. Maybe it wasn't one huge play. He certainly bailed me out after my penalty, which I appreciate. So I'm very grateful for that.
And then on the flip side of the matchup this week for Rutgers, Kyle Monangai is going to be one of the top running backs the Huskers face all year. He's the 3rd leading rusher in the nation.
it's like the Matrix, you know. It's like nothing ever kind of hits him. Like he's running, and like he's just got such elite body balance and contact balance, but also like he sees it coming, and so no one ever gets like a true shot on him, right? It's always like a glancing blow. I think he's really a great player. You know, their offensive line coach, Pat Flaherty, was was like my mentor when I was at New York. And one thing I know about Flats is like they're going to set their pads and come off the ball. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be physical. Like you watch their guys when the piles, there's a pile, their guys are come running in and diving into the pile and trying to knock it forward. And so that's the type of offense people have been playing against us. That bleeding, like, hey, we're going to get 3, 4, 5 yards, just stay on the field, try to wear you down. So that's be a heck of a challenge for us. And then he brings in the element, though, Mitch, of like, they had him backed up against Washington, and then 3 guys hit him, and you can run for, he can run for 60. So then when he gets tired, they can bring in Sam Brown. He's 227 pounds and an excellent back. So they've got 2 of the best backs we'll see.
And finally, former Husker great Ndamukong Suh will be inducted into the Nebraska Athletics Hall of Fame, and Rule gave some thoughts on Suh and just what he's meant to college football.
I don't even want to think about when I crossed paths with him in the NFL. He was just so dominant. I mean, yeah, I mean he was a Heisman candidate as a defensive player. The most dominant defensive player, really, if you think about it, in at least in my recent college history. And what I love about Ndamukong is as dominant as he's been on the field in college, and then he shows philanthropy, giving back to his university, which you don't always see, right? And the weight room's named after him because of him and his family's generous gift. And then you play against him in the NFL, and he's this vicious, amazing competitor. He was in Tampa Bay, and he's hard to block. Yet you look at the impact he's having on people, on young people, in terms of saving, in terms of investments, coming back, helping guys with NIL, in terms of how to manage their money. Like his purpose in life is about way more than just football. So I'm excited to have him back. I think it'll be great for our players. I'm hopeful that at some point he can come by. I know his weekend will be packed, but he can come visit with our guys. And it's really a great, powerful message when your players see that like the best days of their lives are not their recruiting rankings. Or not, how they were drafted even. Like, each thing should be better than the next, and life after football should be the ultimate, right? And so Ndamukong comes in with a beautiful wife and great kids and doing amazing things, so tremendous role model for our players.
Reporting here with the Nebraska football team in Lincoln, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com.